Hi, home bakers! Today I'm in the kitchen making a banana blueberry birthday cake.
This cake is great for any occasion, but since it's so bright, fun, and cheerful, it's perfect for a little kid's birthday. I love this cake for a first birthday smash cake or turn it into cupcakes.
I love this cake because it's light, soft, and flavorful while still being filled with wholesome bananas and blueberries. Because, first of all, they are delicious in baking, and because sometimes for young kids' birthdays, you are just not ready to feed them fully empty calories. But don't worry, no one will be able to tell the difference.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make a banana blueberry cake with banana buttercream.
I'm going to start this recipe with the banana cake batter. In a medium bowl, I'm going to add 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to give my dry ingredients a little mix and then set aside. Then in the bowl of a stand mixer with the paddle attachment or in a large bowl with beaters, cream 1 cup of softened butter. Then I'm going to add in 1 1/4 cups of white sugar. Increase the speed and cream the butter and sugar together until light and fluffy. Next, I'm going to add 3 eggs, one at a time, and beat after each addition. I just like to crack my eggs into a separate bowl first, just in case there's anything wrong with an egg or in case I drop some of the shell, it's easier to fish it out. Make sure to stop and scrape down the bottom and sides of the bowl a few times as you go to make sure everything is getting mixed in evenly. I've already mashed 3 overripe bananas and I'm going to mix this into the batter next. If you want to make this recipe and don't have any ripe bananas, you can easily ripen bananas in the oven. Place your bananas on a baking sheet with the skin on. Bake in a preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius oven for 7 minutes or until the skin is dark brown. Remove from the oven and when they're cool enough to handle, you're ready to mash your softened bananas. Now I'm going to mix in half of the dry ingredients that I set aside at the beginning. Alternate this with 1/2 cup of buttermilk. If you don't have any buttermilk, you can just use regular milk mixed with a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar. Set this aside for about 5 minutes for the milk to sour. I'm going to mix this gently into the batter and then add in the last half of the dry ingredients. Mix this together, followed by the last 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Mix until you have a smooth batter and then fold in 1 cup of blueberries. This is going to add that bright pop of color and flavor. Of course, you can opt for something different like chopped nuts, or if you want a more decadent cake, chocolate chips. Now I'm going to spread the batter into 2 greased and lined cake pans. I'm using 6-inch cake pans here, but you can also use lined cupcake tins or your cake pan of choice. These are going to go into my preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius oven. Bake for 40 to 45 minutes or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Once they've cooled slightly, you can turn them out of the cake pans onto a cake stand and allow to cool completely before adding the icing. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to get on with making the banana buttercream. In a large bowl, beat 1/2 cup of soft butter until creamy. I'm going to add in 3 cups of icing sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 mashed banana. I'm going to mix this on low until all of the ingredients are incorporated. This should stop the icing sugar from puffing up into a sugary cloud all over your kitchen. Once everything is mixed in, you can increase the speed and cream the icing until very light and fluffy. This will take a few minutes. Make sure to stop and scrape down the bottom and sides of the bowl a few times as you go to make sure everything is getting mixed into the icing evenly. And the icing is ready to get spread onto the cake or can be piped on top of cupcakes. For this simple cake, I'm going to sandwich the layers together with the banana buttercream in the middle and just make a super simple rustic design with the icing around the cake. Feel free to decorate your cake as simply or as intricately as you'd like. And to go with my sweet fruity cake, I'm going to decorate it with plenty of fresh, bright fruit. Mostly because the person I'm decorating it for is a big fan of fresh fruit and berries. This is a perfect sweet and simple cake worthy of any homemade birthday, or just a flavor-filled dessert when you need to use up some bananas with something other than banana bread. And even though this is still a cake, you can feel a little better knowing it's full of simple ingredients with some wholesome fruit added in. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.